So Jay, yesterday I was talking to the Mayor Pro Tem Kim Nixon, and Mayor Susan Wiggins and I met with the chairman of the board from Union Pacific about their tracks coming through Tehachapi and their maintenance and their future plans and different things. And I had the opportunity to talk to him about our projects. We've got 2 of them.
Yeah.
So we're standing here today where we're proposing to build a downtown park and ride and a transit center. So why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, let me remind you again the scope of the project, because it's pretty extensive. We were, first of all, fortunate enough to get a 100% grant for the main ATP project, which is designed to do a lot of pedestrian safety improvements, and then we got an 87% grant for the cost of the big park and ride and transit facility. So those are the 2 efforts. They're going simultaneously. They're going to probably arrive in construction around the same time.
But that project has been vetted through the community, right? We've had public workshops.
Yeah.
It's gone to city council. It's been approved. So we're in the design phase, and we hope to be constructing next year.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It. And so, yeah, so the scope of the project, a lot on H Street. We have a big problem. I mean, this sign really typifies it for us. We have a problem with folks kind of going back and forth across the tracks, and I can't really blame them. I mean, it's so open, it feels like it's okay, but the reality is it's a really dangerous situation. Right. So between that and kind of the look of this area being our downtown, we really felt like spending some time building some nice decorative fencing, some landscaping, and some sidewalks to channelize people to the crossings. Right. And then at the same time, those crossings are really bumpy for cars.
And the crossings we're talking about are Green, Hayes, and Denison.
And Denison,
right.
Yeah. All 3 of them, they're really bumpy and not comfortable. They're definitely not pedestrian or bicycle friendly. And so in the process, we're hoping we've got the funds put in place to make some major improvements at all 3 of those, make them better for vehicles, pedestrians. Even, Greg, I don't know if you know, but they'll be ADA compliant, so you'll be able to drive a wheelchair across them.
So better for
done.
vehicles,
yeah.
Better for pedestrians.
Yeah.
So Jay, I understand this is all railroad right-of-way currently, right?
Yeah.
So we have to interact with Union Pacific and their teams to make sure that our projects are consistent with both their standards, but also in accessing the site and performing our constructions. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, it's a lengthy one. I mean, the railroads are regulated by the California Public Utility Commission, which just means lots of regulations. But yeah, there are federal standards for how you build things at rail crossings. So that makes it a little easier, actually, on us, believe it or not, because the book's already written. We just have to follow that playbook. So we've got some good consultants on board that are experienced. In fact, we've hired one who is an ex-UP employee to help guide us through that regulatory process. So that's what we're going to spend the next year doing. But yeah, making sure the fences are right, making sure how we channelize people and how we build those sidewalks, how we deal with the gates so that people are not
but it's important for UP too, and BNSF,
yeah.
Safety-wise, right?
Yeah.
They don't want people crossing here, right?
Yeah.
We hear these horror stories all the time about people getting hit by trains.
Well, and we've had one here.
Things.
It was a few years ago. We had a horrible tragedy
right.
here.
And so the opportunity that Susan, Kim, and I had yesterday to talk to the #1 guy at UP, the guy that owns these tracks, was pretty amazing. You gave me drawings. We looked at it in detail. And really excited about just everything that is happening. We're working on it really hard. It won't be for another 18 months before we move dirt, but things are really happening towards improvements and downtown parking.
Yeah, well, and so I was going to say, the park and ride's going to be pretty big. It's over 100 parking spaces, at least that's the initial design. And then in addition, we're going to do bus turnouts on both sides of the road, so that we've been working with Kern Regional Transit about moving their facilities from in front of Kmart down to here.
We've certainly outgrown that, haven't we?
Yeah, we really have.
Sure.
In fact, they've talked about, they get a lot of BC students, for example, during the winter months, just freezing to death out there waiting for the bus. And so we're going to be able to put in new shelters and security for those shelters. And like a really neat feature, for instance, is Kern Regional Transit's unrolling electronic messaging boards where you can stand there and get up-to-date GPS tracking on the bus, so you can know exactly when it's going to be there. Just some really neat kind of partnership between us and them to really enhance our ability to do.
And one of the great things about this project too, as a park and ride, it'll be primarily used during Monday through Friday, kind of during regular business
commuting hours, yeah.
But it's still going to be a parking lot on the weekends, available for events and downtown businesses and overflow parking as well, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. It's going to be a
and there are
great
van pools that go to the Mojave Spaceport, Edwards Air Force Base, Rio Tinto. So this is just going to be really embraced. embraced, I think, by this, not just the city, but the entire community.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how many folks commute by way of park and ride. They functionally are using the parking lots at Albertsons or
Right.
Starbucks now,
Right.
which doesn't really work that great for those businesses. It's taking up valuable parking space. So by providing this facility, we think it's going to be really used well, and it's going to make it easy for people who, work out in the desert or work down in Bakersfield to find a safe place to park their car during the day and do their business.
Great project. So Chris Kirk, Assistant City Manager, Jay Schlosser, our engineer. I'm Greg Garrett. Obviously, if you ever have any questions, call us. We wanted to have this conversation to update you more on what's going on with these projects. A lot of irons in the fire. Come by, see us, email us, and check it out. Thank you very much.